morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bronx Queens Bros Podcast, better known as the BQB. My name is Big V. We got Big D and Jack B. How you doing, Dave?
Dude, you know what? How can you not be excited about this right here? I truly think this is history in the making. This is the first episode of a very exciting podcast, and I'm pumped to present it to everyone. So I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. We're ready to go. Jack, how you doing today?
I'm feeling great, and I'm excited to talk about some new pitch rules, pitch clock rules. We got some shifts. We got new bases, a bunch of new rules in baseball. We're going to talk some World Baseball Classic and some spring training and introduce our segments.
All right. Now, before we get into that, I'd like to announce that this episode is sponsored by one of the best-kept secrets in northern New Jersey. Engineering Design Concepts, a small company doing big things. They specialize in product development, manufacturing, and test equipment. If you or anyone you know need assistance in that field, they are the company you need to contact. The link to their website will be in the description below.
Heck yeah, so let's get started. We got some big changes coming to the MLB this season, and I just want to talk about and see what you guys think about how it's going to impact the game going forward. So we're going to break it down rule by rule, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. So the first big rule, and we've seen a little bit in spring training of it already, is the pitch timer. So just to give everyone a rundown, so the pitch timer with runners on, the pitcher has 20 seconds. With the bases empty, they have 15. The hitter only gets one timeout per plate appearance and must be in the batter's box with 8 seconds left on the countdown. The pitcher as a whole gets 2 disengagements per batter. Any violation beyond that is balk. And the MLB provided some interesting stats that this led to 26% increase in stolen attempts in the minor leagues when it was tested. And also it reduced the game length by 25 minutes. So what do you guys think about the pitch clock?
I really, when I first saw the pitch clock, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was the weirdest looking thing ever. I was just, I'm just so used to baseball as I've watched it for my entire life. And little did we know that baseball, the game, watching has just gotten slower and slower and slower. And it makes sense why, because there's a lot of high leverage moments in these games and pitchers want to take their time and get into batters' heads. But being able to watch a game as I've watched more spring training and not sit there for sometimes 4.5 hours is such a blessing. You can watch the game in 2.5 hours, just like most other sports. It's just, I really like it. And I think it's a move baseball had to make because, just the way sports in general are going and the way media in general is going and entertainment in general is going. It's a change they had to make. I think it's a really smart change, and I'm here for it. How about you, V?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of it because I always like the concept that there's no clock in baseball. Now there's a clock in baseball, and it's not something I hate. I like the fact that maybe now the game has more of a tempo to it, and it definitely will speed up. We clearly see early on the games are averaging 2 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Somewhere
in that facility. I'm just kind of guessing off the top of my head here. And last year was over 3 hours. So I like it. I think 15 seconds isn't enough because there's a lot of variables that I know the umpires need to really also nail down, like if a foul ball hits a catcher in the mask, and how long does he get? Does he get 15 seconds, and then the pitcher gets what if there's a long foul ball where the right fielder has to run all the way down, make a diving play, or runs into the wall? How long does he have till he gets to hit back to his position? There's a lot of variables, and I know that it's up to the umpire's discretion of when the timer starts. And so, I think I just would hate to see something along the lines of what we saw already in the spring training game where a game ends on a clock violation. I think something along the lines of, if there's a way where in the 7th inning or later they could extend it to maybe making it 20 seconds with the bases empty and then maybe up to 25, maybe 30 seconds with the bases full. Because when the game's on the line, building the anticipation is even greater. Even think about it. If you're in the playoffs, 3-2 pitch in the 9th inning in the tie game, and you're the batter, what if you're like, first playoff experience? You know,
Right.
you might need a breather, or even if it's like a young relief pitcher coming in to make his debut in a big spot, like it's hard to throw. And then also, does that put the batters in danger if a pitcher's rushing? Are the hit by pitchers going to keep climbing? Are we putting up the players at risk? There's a lot of factors, but I do like that the game will speed up a little bit. But I think we could maybe nail it down to really get it a little better for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point, V. One thing I would add to that, which I'd be interested to see, is when we get into, and I know they're all in Florida now, but when we get into, the dog days of summer, July and August, when pitchers are sweating, right? They're sweating so much, right? And then, you see sometimes they step off, wipe their hands off. And I know sometimes sweat is used as like a sticky substance per se, but that's, sometimes it's too much sweat, right? You need to wipe your hands. So, with the timeout rules, that would be another interesting thing. And I think you bring up some good points about, foul balls where, outfielders go flying for the ball and then, or, go running for the ball. Then they got to get back into their position. But, are you going to have to, is it better to pitch a ball with your fielder out of position, or is it to just take a ball, right? To take a ball on the count. There's so many, and there's so many variables there. And I guess we'll see how it plays out as more baseball is played. But, yeah, I think you're definitely correct in those concerns, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think up front the baseball purists, it's gonna be hard for them to get on board with it. As you said, V, it's the one sport that never had a clock, and it is a bitter pill to swallow, putting a clock on baseball. But I think it's what needs to happen, and especially when you talk about bringing in a younger generation, and just talking about us fellas, if we have more viewers and more of a younger generation getting into baseball, that's only going to make our show better. So how can we really be against that? But yeah, there'll definitely be a transition period, and I think baseball, where it's lucky in the sense that you have a long spring training to kind of get used to these rules, and it might even dip into the middle of the season. But you look at like rule changes that are made in the NFL, where they only have like 3 weeks of a preseason now to kind of work those changes out. But before we know it, this is just going to be a part of the baseball that we know and love. So I'm looking forward to see how it changes the game. And I think, like Jack started off by saying, it's a change that needed to happen. That kind of brings us right to our next change. I wonder what the baseball purists will think about this one. So let's talk about the shift restrictions that were made. So now 2 infielders must be positioned on either side of second base when the pitch is released. All 4 of the infielders must have both feet within the infield when the pitcher is on the rubber. So this showed an increase in batting average and decrease in strikeouts in the minors when they tested it last year. What do you guys think about the new shift restrictions?
You want me to take this one away?
Yeah, V, you start this one.
All right, so baseball, I think MLB, I should be saying, the goal is to create more offense in the game, and as they're also trying to incorporate the home runs is also a big point in the game. So I think the shift banning is actually a good idea when you can clearly tell that strikeouts are big in the game. Less balls are being put in play. And when they're being put in play up until this year, especially if you're a left-handed hitter and you pull it anywhere on the ground, you're almost guaranteed out. So I think, obviously, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some teams like the Rays who are going to come around and put a short right fielder and have a left center, whatever. We all know what they're going to do.
Yeah, we've seen that already.
A
couple times in spring training, they put a left fielder actually in I don't know if you've seen in where like the old second baseman used to play, and then they did that against Joey Gallo actually, and then played no one in left field.
Exactly my point, and I guarantee you Joey Gallo didn't hit to left. So there's gonna be those little loopholes, I should say, that teams are gonna find with certain players. But I think it's pretty good. I mean, would I like to say I wish a player could just go the other way and beat the shift and just bat 300 or just keep bunting down the third baseline, and then they'd have to play you there just in case? Yeah, but clearly players aren't being taught that. They're being taught to hit the ball launch angle and hit the ball over the fence as much as you can. So they're not trying to go oppo on anything. Not to say hitting a 99 mile per hour fastball in on your hands is easy to go the other way with, because it certainly is not. But I think the shift will be good. I'm intrigued to see if there's going to be an uptick in offense this year, and I think obviously there's going to be other factors as well. But I'd be shocked. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I did like this. I thought they should have done this maybe a few years earlier, but I do understand both sides of this argument. The other side being that, if a guy hits 90% of his ground balls to the pull side, isn't it just like being smart to put more guys on that side? And, obviously, yes. And, in a perfect world, like you said, guys would be able to go the other way. But, that's just not, the state of game that we're in, and what a lot of purists or people that have gotten comfortable with this recent game, they just need to adapt with the times. And, I think this will allow for a lot more action, a lot more excitement, a lot better, or basically the skill of base running comes back and is a factor once again, which really hasn't been a thing. I saw on ESPN, Jeff Bagwell went to Astros camp, I guess, just to their spring training facilities, and he was saying how the base running now is worse than it's ever been. And that was just his opinion, obviously, but I would take that as 100% truth. I think, base running has just kind of been a lost art in the game, and now maybe we'll see more balls in play and a little bit more of base running becoming that factor, maybe that decides games or maybe could decide playoff series. I think, when you have more competitive advantages like that and things to improve on, it could only make the game better, grow the game, and bring a diverse group of players into the game, which I think is great. So, yeah, I like this for the most part.
Yeah, I'm also I'm on team. I like this rule change. I think what I agree with what you guys said, but I also think that we're going to see so many more middle infielders making great plays because of the shift. We get to see some people flash some leather, and in my opinion, as a baseball purist, that's something that I just will never get tired of seeing. So that's one change I'm looking forward to see if we'll see more of that. So that brings us to our third rule change, where we see bigger bases. So first base, second base, and third base are increased from 15 square inches to 18 square inches. So this means the distance is reduced by 3 inches from home to first and home to third, and it's reduced by 4.5 inches from first to second and second to third. I think the main reason they're looking to do this is because it has a positive impact on player safety. In fact, this change reduced injury events by more than 13% in the minors in this past season. So what do you guys think about this rule change to bigger bases?
Yeah, I like this, and what I like to go along with it, and I don't know if you're going to get to this, Dave, was the pickoff rules where you can only pick off 2 times, and if you pick off a third time, if you don't pick the guy off, it's a balk. So I think I like this a lot, and I think both rules kind of go hand in hand because I think steals are going to go way up, which I think is great for the game. I mean, the steal has been just about dead the last 4 or 5 years just because analytically it's really not, as the analytics say, it's not beneficial to steal bases because a run on first is more valuable than an additional out. So you're kind of just scared of the caught stealing. But I think, what we've been saying, more action, you got to adapt. That's what baseball purists are going to have to understand. You have to adapt with the times. And if we're being honest, baseball kind of lost its way for a little while as far as, star power and, the way they market themselves. And, it's no longer America's pastime, right? It's no longer the number one game on. And, I think at the NFL, football, and the NBA have passed the MLB as an organization up. That's not to say that, baseball's still my favorite sport, obviously, but MLB just, they have to get with the times. And I think this is a step in the right direction as well. What do you think, V?
I mean, I like the bigger bases because strictly, I mean, I get the safety thing, and I'm always big as I wish every team's players could stay healthy every single year for 162 games, and then we could really see who is the best team just with the team that they put on the field. Obviously, that's not the game that we know. There's injuries happen. A lot of them do. As we'll probably get into a few later on. I love the stolen base. I think that's a lost art in the game, as you mentioned. I also am wondering now, also with the bigger base and no shift, I wonder if hit and run can make a little comeback as well as a play that's never run ever. I feel like it's never put on. I'll catch it maybe once a week from the entire league. I feel like maybe exaggerating a tad there, but
no, I think that's right, V. I think you're on.
And talk about like a very action-worthy play. If you get a guy who's trying to steal, you get a guy who goes oppo or pulls it down the line or something down the line. It's just so much action and so many different plays are involved, and it's so exciting when you watch it, especially when it's executed properly.
Right.
It's great for the game. I love stolen bases, especially like on the Mets end, like Starlin Marte, Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil. These guys got speed, and a guy like I think IKF steals some bases. I know Judge can occasionally. Hope he doesn't though. I'd like to see that guy just stay healthy again, because you clearly see what he does for a full season. And you go to the Diamondbacks, the new young stud they got, Corbin Carroll, who I love. For them, that guy could probably steal like 60 bases with ease. And I'm wondering if the stolen bases are going to tick up and the pickoff move as well. I mean, if I was a runner and the guy made one pickoff move at you, I'd be shocked if he tries again.
Yep.
Take a bigger lead. So I think there's going to be a cat and mouse game also with 20 seconds for you to decide if you're going to throw over or not. Like, I wonder how that's going to really play. There's so many factors now that maybe a pitcher's really focused on the batter. They're going to forget about the runner. The runners take advantage in that situation. I think all those factor in. I'm excited to see if there really is going to be a lot more action just from these couple rule changes here.
Yeah, you remember the days of watching Jose Reyes steal all those bases?
Oh.
Remember as a kid just loving that? Jack, you remember watching Brett Gardner go after a couple here and there? I mean, and again, we talk about bringing in that newer generation. Like, honestly, people our age, younger, it's really important. And I think stolen bases, as you guys said, has just been kind of lost. And we really need to see that increase. And I think we have a couple of rule changes here that are going to positively impact that. So I'm excited to see how this game evolves going forward. And so that kind of covers the major rule changes of this offseason. We got something exciting happening in baseball too this year. We got the World Baseball Classic, fellas. Let's open up the discussion on that. What do you guys think? Give me some thoughts on the World Baseball Classic.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take this one.
Yeah, start. But you got a lot of Mets in this.
Oh, forget it. I mean, you got a lot of Mets in there, which worries me and makes me happy at the same time. World Baseball Classic is such a cool thing that baseball does, in my opinion. I wish there was a way where, I don't know how they could, I really don't know, where they could put it at a different part of the year, because I think we could get more players involved. But World Baseball Classic is a really cool thing where it's the World Cup of baseball, pretty much, and it's really cool. We got a lot of Mets players in there. I'm a diehard Mets fan. Love, we got Alonso, McNeil, Ottavino, Raley on Team USA. We got Diaz, Lindor on Puerto Rico, Escobar's on Team Venezuela. We also shout out to John Sway Fargas, Mets legend right there, ladies and gentlemen. He's also playing. I believe he's playing for Puerto Rico. And then for the Yankees got only a couple guys. I think Gleyber's playing for Venezuela, and Jonathan Loaizaga. Thank you, sir. Thank you, my good sir. He's playing for Nicaragua. I'm really excited to see like those matchups that you could never see, like Trout versus Ohtani. Like we're literally gonna probably get to see that at bat, and that is freaking awesome because It's like the All-Star game, but just way better. The All-Star game isn't done properly anymore, in my opinion. That's a whole different topic we'll get into another time. But this is some really cool thing. It's also good for, the market of baseball. Baseball is now worldwide. And can be watched worldwide. You can see the players. Baseball can market their players through this. I think it's great for the game. Very excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think one of the main things I look forward to during World Baseball Classic is like the passion and just the excitement around it. It's definitely the opposite of old school baseball. There's everyone celebrates, even on like a home run in the first inning, everyone's celebrating. People are jumping up and down. You got just so much passion for your home country, and it really matters to a lot of these countries that might not be able to send all their players to the MLB, or maybe their league isn't the most popular, or they want the eyeballs on them. I think this is a great opportunity for even guys to maybe get a look on an MLB roster, right? Guys that might be fighting for a spot or maybe have a minor league contract. You play well, you hit couple of home runs, you pitch really well, you look like you have nasty stuff. We could be looking at some future MLB stars, so I'm really pumped for this.
Can I bounce on that idea?
Yeah, go ahead.
So actually, Kodai Senga pitched in the last World Baseball Classic, and he looked really good. And I know he's not pitching in this one because he wants to, but clearly he marketed himself on a national, crowd. That now he's made it to the big leagues. He's on the big league roster. He's going to be the Mets' probably 3 or 4 starter.
Got himself $100 million.
Yeah, exactly. The international free agents also, like guys from Cuba, even Venezuela, Puerto Rico, all these guys who come internationally as free agents and have a chance to showcase what they got against big league guys.
It'll also be a big time for defectors, like from Cuba. It's a big time for that because, there's a lot of games. I think it's mostly in Miami, right? And there's some
Miami,
in Phoenix, and I think Tokyo has some games for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped for this. I think it's going to be awesome. And right? I mean, remember last time, remember Yachty, threw somebody out I forget who it was. He was, celebrating after he got, an RBI, and he wasn't touching the base, and Yachty backpicked him. They slapped the tag on. It's stuff like that you won't see in an MLB game because, it's more, conservative and, reserved, and you got the older baseball fans and people that take the game a little bit too seriously for my liking. And then you have this, it's just straight passion, excitement, and everything that baseball should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I know the timing of the World Baseball Classic isn't great, so that's why a lot of players don't participate. But just imagine how fun it is for the players, right, that do play. You talked about the Molina, pickoff, and remember the Adam Jones, Robin of Manny Machado. It's that's got to be so fun to do that to your own teammate and then hop on a team with them and try to compete together. So I remember even as kids playing baseball, you had your rec team and then you play on your travel team and you play against your friends. And
it was kind of like how it is.
So. Exactly. So I think it's really good for the game. And I think there's a lot of excitement going on. We got our podcast, we got these rule changes, we got the World Baseball Classic. How can you not be pumped?
V, can I ask you a question real quick? Who are you worried about? I know, most of these guys have not really had injury history, but are you worried at all that, something, they get ramped up a little bit too early? Any worries?
I'm always worried. I mean, it's the Mets. We've been the LOL Mets for freaking forever. So what more LOL Mets would I need if Lindor and Alonso somehow collide in the infield and both their seasons are done? God forbid. I'm not on something that's not happening. That is not happening. But no, there's always those freak accidents. Even as simple as, you're a batter, you're up to bat, and pitch hits you in the finger, break your finger out for 2 months. I mean, granted, that can happen in spring training too. So you never know. I mean, listen, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, they've all been really healthy their whole career. I mean, I guess Diaz, I'm always worried with pitchers. He's going to be pumped.
That's what I'm more worried about. Pitchers, like, getting ramped up. Like, you got to get into, I guess just more of more intense situations, right? Like, mentally and physically when, normally this is more of a ramp up time, and now you kind of are expected to be ready, right? So, yeah.
No,
but, fingers crossed, like you said, can only wish everyone stays healthy.
Exactly.
Fellas, I think that's a great time. So in our podcast, we have these segments that we look forward to doing, and we're each going to kind of take control of one. So we want to take the opportunity now to kind of introduce them to you and then go through them. And we're going to start with no other than Big V. So I'm going to turn it to you, Big V. Let the fans know what to expect.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to announce that Big V segment is going to be named Veton's Hot Stove. So, quick rundown. It's two meanings. There's two meanings behind the hot stove because I cook two things at once all the time. So if a player makes the hot stove, it's because either two things. They're smoking hot on the plate or on the mound, or I got a hot take on a player. You may want to be both. You may not want to be both. I don't know what to tell you here, ladies and gentlemen. So I know we haven't gotten really started on the season yet. We're just cracking into the dawn of spring training here. But I do I'm going to talk about a couple Mets and Yankee guys. Start off with the Mets. Ronnie Mauricio is in the hot stove because this man is absolutely smoking the crap out of the ball right now. My man has, in 13 at-bats, has driven in 3 home runs, one of which was hit at a 450-foot moonshot. All of his home runs have been at an exit velocity of like 110 and higher. This guy just laces the ball. Now, this man has some swing and miss in his swing, but he is a mountain of a man. This guy is long, lanky, and built like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'm super excited for this kid. I think this guy has a nice future ahead of him. If he can nail down on the strikeouts, this guy's going to be a real good ball player. He has made the hot stove. Another Met who had made the hot stove, I think it's got to be Brett Beatty. This guy is smoking the ball. He's batting just under 500 in spring training. He's lining the ball to left, pulling the ball to right, up the middle. He's doing everything right. He's seeing the ball well against good, solid pitchers. I know spring training, so sometimes you face the minor leaguers, and, I think what's going to hold Beatty back is his defense. He's not looking incredible at third, but there's that. And then for the Yankees, I think you got to go to Volpe. Anthony Volpe's looking real good. He's looking ready to steal that job from IKF. And I'll tell you this right now. I think he's got a good shot because my hot take with them is that Anthony Volpe will be the starting shortstop for the Yankees on opening day. That's going to be my hot take for the Yankees there. And the hot take for the Mets is Brett Beatty will be the starting third baseman for the New York Mets. Come on. I love Escobar. I think he's super great clubhouse guy. I think he had an amazing September, and you can't knock that. He had a 176 WRC plus, which, in case anyone does not know, is weighted runs created plus, which is measured average league of 100. So he was 76% better than league average. You can't knock that. That's MVP. Like Goldschmidt won the MVP and was right around that number for the whole season. Not to say he's going to do what Paul Goldschmidt did last year, but it's not something you just kind of shy away. But I think Escobar could be better suited in a platoon / maybe take some DH at bats role. And that is the hot stove, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking forward to keep doing this every episode.
All right, let me get in here quickly. So what are we thinking, Mauricio? Is he gonna make the team? You think? Like, what are the expectations for him? And I do remember hearing about him as a good prospect, or I think he's an international free agent.
He was an international free
agent.
agent.
I remember hearing about how talented he was as a hitter. What's the expectation level for Mauricio?
So here's the tricky part with Mauricio. Is his natural position is shortstop. And we got a guy named Francisco Lindor who's going to be there for the next 9 years. So this guy's blocked. He's got no spot there. In an interview recently, he said he'd like to play third base ideally. So last year he made it to Double-A, and his on-base percentage I think was around 296. which is not great. But he hit a lot of home runs. He's good defensively. He's got a cannon and an arm, from what I hear. I don't think this guy makes a roster out of spring training. I think he might start out Double-A, maybe make it Triple-A. He may start out Triple-A. Maybe he's impressing them enough where he can start out Triple-A. I think if a couple things go wrong with the Mets, injury-wise or whatever, so may be it. Maybe guys like Vogelback struggles at the DH spot, and he's swinging well in the minors, so they bring him up to try to get some thump in the lineup. I could see that as his way onto the team. I don't think he's ready yet. I think there's too much swing and miss. I think he's got to work on that. I think defensively he's got to find a new position. But I also wonder, is he also a really good trade chip that the Mets can use for a trade? Maybe if they're looking to really put themselves over in midseason or next offseason. I think he can be used in a lot of different ways. I really like him, though. I think he could be a good player. He's just got to really hone down on his skills.
Nice.
You know what I really appreciate about what you just did there, V? Both your hot players went right into your hot takes that they're going to earn a starting job. So that's, he's a professional, ladies and gentlemen. And when that guy gets by an oven, good things are going to happen. So that brings us right to, if you like that segment, you're going to love this segment as well, because Jack's got something special for everyone. So Jack, why don't you tell us about this?
Yeah, sure. So, us three, we're East Coast guys. We sometimes you just got to let some anger out. And that's what I'm going to be doing every show. I'm going to be doing the Jack's Jack Off. So what Jack Off is just an all-out vitriol or just some disdain you have for a player, or maybe you want to inspire a player, encourage him to do better through negative emotions and maybe sometimes some yelling. So I know, we're just in spring training, but, some players on the Yankees and Mets, especially the Yankees, I'm no Yankee optimist. I'm a Yankee fan that's very negative and self-admitted. So let's get into some players. So if you don't mind, V, first we're going to talk about my buddy Aaron Hicks. Now,
gotta love the guy.
Now, Aaron Hicks, to his credit, has played outstanding in the preseason, which is very hard for me to watch because that means he's going to end up starting in left field. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you understand how bad Aaron Hicks has been the last 4 seasons with the Yankees. Now, if you go back to 2019, Aaron Hicks suffered a lot of injuries. He only played 59 games. He was able to hit he only had 12 home runs. And he hit a nice 235. But at this time, Hicks is still known for getting on base. He got on base at a decent clip. 2020, the shortened season, Hicks played 54 games. A 60-game season, he played 54. Got to give it to him there. He also hit 6 home runs. So, you can't get too mad at that. Got on base at an even better clip. Got on base at 380 clip. That's pretty good. Now we go to 2021 for Hicks, which was a complete lost year. And I mean complete. The man played 32 games. He basically was just a non-factor. He hit 194 in those games. It was clear he was out of shape. He wasn't ready to play. And what I saw from him last year, and which somehow is 130 games he played, it feels like he might have played 90 games because that's how ineffective he was when he was actually out there. He hit 216. He can't even get on base anymore. And another thing I've noticed with Hicks is he has no range now in the outfield. He has no arm anymore. And because Brian Cashman made this move to sign him, or trade for him and then give him a large contract, he will not move on from him because Cashman is one of these GMs that he proves himself right by making the decision based on his past decisions. So he could basically never be wrong. So Aaron Hicks last year just, he was an abomination. He had 216 in 130 games. Absolutely terrible. His on-base percentage was .330, just really not good. He struck out 109 times in 130 games. It's just, you can't have it. And, he did get hurt at the end of last season, and he looks great now. which is good for him. He seems like he lost some weight. But, man, I'm just so tired of Aaron Hicks. But, if he could figure it out, good for him. We're trying to encourage Aaron to maybe be a little bit better.
We stand Aaron Hicks here. We want to get some Aaron Hicks jerseys. We want to do good for him.
I don't know if we'd go that far, but maybe you like Aaron Hicks.
If he becomes an all-star, we're all getting Hicks jerseys.
I'm okay with that.
That I can promise you. Now, another player.
Listen, we got to get him on the pod.
That'd be nice.
Get him on the pod.
Another player that, has bothered a lot of Yankee fans is Isaiah Connor-Falefa. And that's really to no fault of his own. He just is not a shortstop. And he's not a shortstop in New York. It's really that simple. He's a third baseman by trade. Yankees acquired him by trade and decided, we want to play him at shortstop. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. And the defensive metrics say he's a good shortstop, which is a shame because anyone with eyes knows he's not a good shortstop. He struggles throwing the ball. He struggles fielding routine ground balls. And then offensively, he doesn't really offer you much. He does hit for a decent average, which I guess is a bit of a lost art nowadays. But, besides that, he doesn't really get on base much. His OPS is among, the worst for shortstops, especially in the AL. He does swipe some bags, but he offers you a little bit of athleticism. So going back to what V said, Anthony Volpe is hoping is the starting shortstop, and I highly doubt that, just knowing this Yankee organization. But I pray to God that V is right because, Lord, am I tired of Isaiah Connor-Falefa and just, what we were sold on him, that he's this excellent defender and how he's going to change our life at shortstop after we stuck labor there. And, it's just I know Jeter was he didn't retire that long ago, but if we're being fair, the Yankees have failed to find a shortstop, a legitimate long-term shortstop since Derek Jeter, which I think is really sad. And I think goes to speak of the lack of player development they have. And, you always hear about these great prospects that the Yankees have that they can never develop. And, they either flip them and they're good on other teams, or they, Cashman just, next year. And this is what you hear. And then next thing you know, it's like, is this guy even around anymore? We've been hearing about Florial, how Florial is going to be the next guy in the outfield. And it's like, the guy's 25 now, still playing AAA. What? I mean, I can go on forever, but those are some Yankees. Now we should go to the Mets because there was a guy that they traded for last year that I really could not understand. I didn't really fathom it, but I am a grade A Met hater, so I really wasn't mad about it. But they traded J.D. Davis, who wasn't having a terrible year. Davis is not really the best defender, and neither is this guy, Darren Ruff.
That was a rough trade.
To say the least. It was a rough trade. Now, for the Mets, Ruff hit 152 and only 74 plate appearances. But, it did not offer really much of anything. He hit no home runs for the Mets. And he's 35. He's going to have a few more years on his contract. And I didn't really understand the trade at the time. Seemed like a lateral move, if not a step back in the trade. And J.D. Davis actually ended up playing well for the Giants. Go ahead, V. You want to hop in?
Yeah, I want to just chime in too. They also gave up a couple other prospects along with J.D. Davis in that. Not the best move of Ep-Dog out there, but
I do know that Ruff played well for San Fran. He was a good power bat for them. But, I don't know. Just when I saw this trade, I was like, really? They made this trade?
Well, I remember last year, mid-off season, in the mid-regular season, and I'm like, the Mets are saying they're going to make a trade for a right-handed power bat. Who is it going to be? Everyone thought it was going to be Wilson Contreras from the Cubs. They didn't even trade, and then he signed with the Cardinals. That beat bonkers. There was a lot of other guys. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they went with Ruff, and I remember I was at work. I was at work doing my job, and I get a notification. Mets traded for Darren Ruff. I'm like, I like the Vogelback signing. I mean, the Vogelback trade that they did, but man, I did not like Ruff. And then when I know they wanted to get rid of J.D. Davis, they didn't think he was hitting well. I just think J.D. Davis is running into a lot of bad luck. I could be wrong. I know he can't handle the high fastball, that she just can't do it. But Ruff couldn't handle anything thrown his way. So.
I did know Davis, like, he notoriously has a high hard hit percentage, right? He always squares the ball up. He just finds gloves, and, you know, maybe he's bound to have a decent year this year. But, yeah, I was not a fan of this trade, and I know a lot of Mets fans weren't a fan of this trade. And I think Mets fans just kind of want to be done with this guy. I mean, I just bring a young guy up. Yeah, I'd rather have Mauricio at least getting some experience over a 35-year-old that's really not going to offer you much as to even power. I mean, even with the Giants last year, he only hit 11 home runs. I mean, the previous year he had 16 and 312 plate appearances. Like, not spectacular. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't even seem like that much of a power hitter, right? So,
no, I mean, I think a guy I didn't mention earlier on the Mets, Mark Vientos.
Yeah, Vientos.
He just hit 2 home runs in a game, and one was like 469 feet. They're saying because Ruff is dealing with some type of wrist injury, I believe, something along that lines. He had a cortisone shot, or I could be mistaken, but something along that lines. I think Vientos, I'd rather give him the right-handed DH spot. I mean, he's 24, 25. He clearly has some serious pop. Like, why run Ruff out there? I mean, I know he's under contract, but it's like a relatively team-friendly contract. I think it's like $3 or $4 million a year for the next 2 years.
I mean, you know, Cohen will eat that money. He did it with Cano. I mean, he ate all that Cano money.
He ate McCann's contract pretty much too in the trade with Baltimore. So I mean, we'll see. Time will tell.
And one more guy on the jack-off that I would like to mention, and this is not a guy that has performed poorly. Another Mets player. This is a player that I think, if he returns to the regresses to the mean, let's say, I think the Mets are in for a really rough season. And that player, and it might be bad that I say regress to the mean because he was good in previous years, is Edwin Diaz. I think a lot of Edwin Diaz's success last year was the fact he was pitching in a contract year. His stuff is disgusting. I do agree with that. His stuff is lights out. But he has had his control issues over the years, and he has had years where he just gives up long ball after long ball after long ball. I think a lot rides on Diaz, who the Mets just made the highest paid reliever, I believe, in MLB history. So maybe a bit of encouragement to Diaz. Definitely not, anything to worry about if you're a Mets fan. But I think a lot rides on him, which, I guess Mets fans aren't talking about, I think, as much as they should be. Go ahead, V.
Oh, boy, my friend. That was a ballsy jack-off right there, my friend. Let me tell you something here. Diaz, first year in New York, was abysmal. But I will blame the juice balls as much as anybody else. Now, I'm not going to say he wasn't going to have a good year or bad year if balls weren't juiced. But the home run spiked. The same time Edwin Diaz's home run allowed spiked. Consider what you want. You look at after 2019, his 2020, I'm not even pulling up stats. It was pretty good, if I recall. I don't think it was amazing, but I think his metrics were really good over his numbers.
I mean, I'm sure his spin rates all the pitches he throws are just disgusting. Like, there's no doubt about that, right? So don't get it twisted.
2021, he actually had a very good, very solid, I'm not saying very good, very solid, respectable year, in my opinion.
He had a 3.45. That's not great out of your closer.
I think, I recall this, if there was like 2 games where he had horrible outings, but like in save situations, his ERA was a lot better. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I'm not sure. But I know that's for a fact.
32 saves in 21, 32 as well last year. But they started doing that weird thing with him where if the heart of the order was coming up in the 8th, that they would use him in the 8th. I don't like that. Call me old school, but I really don't like that. Because I think with these closers, some of them are so psychos, like they're just weird guys where they need a pitch in the 9th inning in a safe situation.
I agree. I'm going to just revert back to Diaz real quick and just say that I think last year Diaz finally, I know he was in a contract year, but with the trumpets, him finally settling, I think he came out with
it's the corniest shit ever.
Can we call the trumpets a jack off?
Yeah, it did.
Leave my trumpets alone, okay?
Oh, my God.
So, I think this man, he came out confident every single time. This man was just dominant. I don't think that just is going to revert back. Now, I hope to God you're wrong, by the way. I hope this guy just doesn't.
Listen, I don't think he's going to play bad. I just think a lot rides on him, right? I think.
Oh, I mean, right now, if Diaz had walked in the offseason, I don't even know what happens. Like, is David Robinson our closer now? Like, not to knock on David Robertson, but, I mean, that's a big move that they had to make, and they made it. And I know they made him the highest paid relief pitcher, but I remember the Yankees they paid someone a lot of money, too. And,
Chapman?
That didn't work out. Yeah, Chapman. It didn't work out as well. He's in Kansas.
That's right. What's that guy's name? Timmy Trumpet?
Timmy Trumpet.
He said he was coming back for the World Series games. He's still waiting to come. He's still waiting.
Don't hold your breath, Tim. Don't hold your breath.
Poor guy. He's still waiting to come back to New York for that World Series game.
Fellas, I'm very I'm very excited to see both of your segments throughout. I'm excited to see if players are going to be in the hot stove and then be a jack off, and it's just going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. I have a little different approach to my segment, so we're going to go with Big D's Big Odds, where basically I'm going to put over underlines. I'm going to propose them to both Jack and Big V, and they're going to pick either the over or under, and we're going to keep a running tally on who wins more. And pretty much at the end of every week, the loser is going to wear the other team's hat or apparel for the next episode. So there's a lot on the line here. So these fellas got to take their choices carefully, and then throughout the season, we might even throw some bigger punishments on there. So because I just love to punish these guys, so why not make a game out of it, right? So we're gonna start with we're gonna do 5 lines today. Now, V, in passing, you said that you expect both the Yankees and Mets to finish with a certain amount of wins.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the Mets and Yankees are going to finish with exactly 97 wins each.
Now, that's a hot take that you left out of the hot stove, but I wanted to bring it into my segment.
He's looking at all parts of the episode, not just the segment. It's all the time. He's just throwing it.
Doesn't come and go.
No, it's always here.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with the Yankees season win over-under with the line set at 97.5. Now, V, I think we know your answer, but do you want to dive in a little bit why you think that?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm drilling that under at 97 wins exactly, because 97.5, you got to drill the under. Because the hot stove takes hot takes all the time. I ain't going back on the hot stove. Hot stove said 97. We're drilling that under right there. I think, by the way, 97 wins is a heck of a season. I think that's amazing. Great season. With the Yankees got 99 wins last year, Jack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 less games won. And I still think they probably win the division with 97 wins. Heck of a season. I think it's just coincidental. And I think it'd be a great season on the Yankees end. I think they're going to have a great season. I think they're going to win the division. And, 97 wins. I'm taking the under on that one.
All right, V, not leaving yourself a lot of room for error there, but I'm going to take the over. I think the Yankees are going to benefit a lot, and I think the Mets, this could be true for the Mets as well, from the new bound schedule. So, anyone that knows baseball the last couple of years knows that the AL East and the NL East both just monster divisions. And now with the bound schedule, you're going to play those teams less, which I think favors both the teams, the Yankees and the Mets. And I think specifically the Yankees because now the Orioles are a pretty good team. So, I think the balance schedules helps out the Yankees, and I would say even last year they left a lot of meat on the bone. They could have won more games. I even thought they lost a bunch in a row. I think close to 10, right? 10, 11 games they lost in a row at a certain
They
point.
were on a nice little losing streak there.
Yeah, so I don't know. They also did start the season on a record pace. So I guess it could go either way. I'm going over. I think the balance schedule helps them out. And yeah, the Yankees are just the ultimate regular season team, if we're being fair. That's just what they are. They're built for the regular season, not built for October until proven otherwise. That's what I'm going with.
All right, so let's go ahead and propose the next line. V, I think I know what your answer is. Season wins, Mets. We're going to set the line at 97.5.
Oh, it's like I knew you weren't going to do that one. Well, what did I say before? I ain't ever going back on what the hot stove says. I said the Mets are going to get 97 wins, so I sadly but happily at the same time will take the under because the Mets will win 97 games this year. Now, last year the Mets had won 101 games. Great season. They would just win. The Mets were actually, weirdly enough, never got on some insane win streak. What they would do, though, is win every single series, except in the playoffs. Besides that, I think the Mets regress 4 wins exactly. I think it'll be a more complete team, though. I think they're going to avoid that little hump that they had at the end of last year. September, the Cubs series. I think they lost a series to the Nationals, and then the sweep against the Braves. I mean, I hope that type of stuff doesn't happen. I know we're going to face as Jack had mentioned, facing the in division a lot less, which I don't enjoy that much. I think that takes away from the purpose of having divisions. But we're going to talk about that at a different time. Join the under.
I'm going to take the over really quick. Same reasons I said. Balanced schedule helps the Mets. They're in one of the best divisions in baseball, and now they're going to play that division less. I think that helps them. Outside of that, NL Central super weak. I think the Mets beat up on them. And if we're being honest, they're better on paper than they were last year. They should win more games. Or not more games, but they should win over 97 games. If we're being fair, Steve Cohen expects more than 97 wins, so over.
Respect.
Heck yeah, love it, fellas. Love how we can't agree on anything. All right, we're going to rapid fire these next two. We're going to do some home run totals. We're going to start with Mr. Aaron Judge. I'm going to set an over-under line at 45.5 home runs on the season. Let's go to the Yankees guy first, Jack. What are you taking?
That's a tough one. 45.5, if it was anyone else, that's just a number that's way too high to ever bet on, but I don't know. Aaron Judge, man, he's kind of figured it out. And I think even outside the contract here, I think 45 is doable for Judge in pretty much any season if he stays healthy. And I know that might be a big ask, but I'm going to go over for Aaron Judge home runs, 45.5.
Big V?
Under.
Oh, not even going to explain himself.
I will statistically say I'm a betting man. And I will tell you, I will not bet on anyone to hit over 40, hit 46 or above home runs. Just not happening.
It's very true. It's very true. Okay, let's go over to Pete Alonso. I'm going to set him at 39.5. V, what do you think?
Taking the over on Big Boy Pete. Big Meat Pete out here. He's going to hit. He's going to hit over. He hit 40 last year. He hit 37 in 2021, I think, and he actually was just slumping for a good portion. I think he gets over it. Yeah.
I'm going under.
Yes, let's go.
Pete Alonso is one of those players that I really cannot stand, and I can't even tell you why. I just think he's extremely corny, and when he took the home run derby so seriously, I don't know why. It just really pissed me off. So for that reason, I say under.
See, the viewers don't even know this, but Pete Alonso and the home run derby is actually what inspired Jack to do the whole jack off segment, because he's just like, this guy's such a jack off.
Exactly.
All right, real quick, fellas, I had one more plan just in case we agreed on previous ones, but Thankfully, you guys did not, but I'll throw a bonus one out there. So the Mets and Yankees are going to meet 4 times this year. I'm going to set an over-under line. Let's just say the Yankees wins versus the Mets at 2.5. What do we think? What are we taking? Let's go with V first.
Lovely. Because the Mets are going to kick the Yankees' ass this year. We're taking the under. The Yankees ain't winning. Yankees will win only one of those 4 games. I'll tell you that right now.
All right. Wow. Yeah, that's fine. Because I'm going to go under 2. Just because I've been to a Yankees and Mets game, and I tell you, those Met fans, you would think that they were playing in the World Series, and the game could be in May, June, July, doesn't matter. You would think it's the World Series for the Mets fans because they can only beat up on Big Brother a couple days out of the year, and that might be the highlight of their season, winning a 3-game series against the Yankees. So, just for their egos, we'll give it to them. Mets take the series this year. They can have all 4 if they want.
Can I make a comment real quick?
I'll allow it.
Jack, are you willing to make this a little more interesting?
All right, how interesting are we going to go?
So since these are season long, pretty much.
Right, the ones today.
They're
right.
season long bets. How about? I know there's a good chance probably both of our teams are making the playoffs. I'd like to say.
Fingers crossed.
If I win this, you got to wear a Mets jersey to Yankee Stadium in the playoffs. But if you win, I will wear a Yankee jersey to Citi Field in the playoffs.
Just based off the ones today?
Just based off the ones today.
So it's a deal. All right, I love it.
Make it interesting here, folks.
You got a deal, V.
There we go.
Big D's, big odds, doing big things. Love to see it. All right, listen, guys. It's been a tremendous first episode. I think we got a little bit of time left. So what I want to do real quick, and I mean real quick, let's just talk about the season going forward. Right. I'm just going to pose one question to you. Talk a little bit about it, and let's get our fans excited for the season. So I'm going to go ahead and start with V, but the question is, what is one key player you're going to watch this year that you think is going to take the Mets to the next level?
Excellent question, dare I say.
Thank you.
I think that player has to be Kodai Senga. I think, he's a rookie this year. He's been a guy who's proven himself in Japan. I think Kodai Senga can either take the Mets to a 3-headed monster heading into a playoffs or a 5th starter. If Kodai Senga could put up anywhere, I'm going to just throw out a comparison just because of the situation. If he throws out Tanaka numbers when Tanaka had come over for the Yankees, if Kodai Senga could be somewhere near that guy, and I'm not saying he could do exactly. I think Tanaka's a better pitcher, especially when he first came over. If Senga put up numbers near that, I think the Mets season is just that much better, and I think the Mets going to the playoffs that much better. I'm going to go with Kodai Senga there.
It's a good one, V. I'm going to go Gleyber Torres. I think he's an X factor for the Yankees. If he has a good year and he can be productive, go back to his really good years a couple of years ago, 30-plus home runs, 80-plus RBIs, I think that would be really good for the Yankees, and that would be so huge just to have a 3rd or 4th, depending on how you look at it, guy to driving runs. So, at times our lineup turns into just Judge Stanton. We need another guy. So I think if Gleyber gets back to that would go a long way for the Yankees. If not, I think it could be his last year in pinstripes, or maybe if he's struggling before the deadline, I think he could be on his way out.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you both for a great episode. I had a great time filming this with you guys. And listeners, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. And feel free to give us a follow. We have some social medias. V, we're on Twitter.
We are on Twitter at BQB Podcast.
At BQB Podcast. And Jack, you got us on Instagram?
Yeah, also on Instagram, BQB Podcast as well.
It's that easy, guys. We're even if the ban happens, obviously not. If it doesn't happen, you can find us on TikTok at BQB Podcast. So it's really that easy. And yeah, if you have anything to say to us about future episodes, we would love to hear it. We got V running our Twitter, so he's always open to have a conversation.
Any hot takes you have for me, maybe I'll even say it on a podcast. You never know.
There you go. Yeah, feel free to give us a listen on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are on it all. So wherever you're looking to listen to us, we'll be there for you. That being said, hope you all have a great day.
Perfect.
Hope you two have a great day. We'll see you next time.